Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
Polls, polls, polls. Get ready to be overwhelmed with metrics regarding the election, now just over 2 months away. But after all the major polls, except one, completely blew it in 2016, with near universal predictions of a Hillary Clinton victory and an easy win to boot, just how much can we really rely on these same polls this time around? Joining us to dig into the efficacy, the meaning or lack thereof of the polls being released day after day is the editor-in-chief of LibertyNation.com, recent and future sponsor of the only poll which got it right 4 years ago, Rasmussen, who doubles as our resident polling geek and also as my better half, Leesa K. Donner. Hello, Leesa.
Hi, Tim. Well, you know I'm not a big numbers fan, but I must admit I love the crosstabs in the polls.
It's true, and we're going to talk about them, but I want to start by playing a statement the morning after the 2016 election by John Heilman, one of the most respected inside the Beltway political analysts.
Polling is broken, like in a profound, deep way, and the Clinton campaign was really genuinely convinced, I mean, up until 8:30 last night, that they were totally fine in Pennsylvania, they were going to win Michigan, they were going to win Wisconsin, they were going to be fine in Colorado, that they had the whole thing in hand, and genuinely confident about that. Their numbers were as messed up as the public polling is.
So, Leesa, what, if anything, have these polling firms that got it all wrong last time actually done to make us believe them this time around?
Well, I don't think much, and that is, therein lies the problem. There's a difference between push polling and reality polling. What I tend to get from Rasmussen as I look at their samples, their sample size, their methodology, their crosstabs, who they're sampling, how many they're sampling, of what demographic, I tend to get a sense of reality. When I dig into the CNN polls, even the Fox polls, what I find is a lot more in terms of push polling. They're oversampling the Democrats. They're undersampling the Republicans. And I really don't know why.
So Liberty Nation's been sponsoring the Rasmussen poll during the two conventions and will do so again in the final run-up to the election. And you're doing this because as editor-in-chief, you're convinced Rasmussen is the most reliable poll. Now, what did Rasmussen specifically do right in 2016 that all the others did wrong?
Well, let me just say this. We are sponsoring the Presidential Daily Tracking Poll by Rasmussen. I think what Rasmussen does is they look at the electorate and they tend to mirror their samples demographically by the electorate. So if X amount of Democrats voted in 2016, they're going to sample X amount of Democrats, of X amount of blacks and whites and women and Latinos and on and on. They try to mirror their sample from everything I can see. I don't see that as much in other polls. It asks a simple, direct question.
Now, you've just written a piece on LibertyNation.com called "The Chicks Are Stealing the Show," all about the strong, independent women who were showcased by the GOP at their convention from First Lady Melania Trump on down, with those pesky suburban white women who are offended by Trump's coarseness, seeming to draw a lot of attention. What kind of shape is Trump in with women voters?
Well, I wrote on LibertyNation.com before the Republican National Convention that Trump really had some work to do with women. The Republican National Committee has really heard that. Ronna McDaniel has taken that to heart. And she's, I think, made an extra effort to put up strong, powerful, inspiring women. Some of them may be well known. Some of them you've never heard of before. But my gosh, when a woman stands there and says, President Trump helped me survive from bone cancer, or President Trump helped me keep my dairy farm, and they do it in a very convincing, personal way, I think that really speaks to women voters.
Now, people who study polls often talk about the so-called crosstabs, which break the numbers down into smaller subsets like black and white voters, male and female, young and old, etc. Which of these crosstabs do you find most revealing or surprising so far about the 2020 election?
Well, the one for me that had a red alert for Donald Trump was the gender gap. Biden kept consistently polling better on the Rasmussen polls with women. They're not going to get black women, but they can get more black men. And I think there's a lot of chatter about that. And they can't get more white women. Women's issues are generally security, education. These are the things that they vote on.
Very simple, straight to the point, just the way you are with me. Leesa, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tim.